Anyways, I digress. Talking about how much I love strategy in this game. Hopefully we get to see some amazing strategies in this grand finals. We've seen this grand finals so many times. But honestly, I'm not ever really going to get tired of it. These guys are really good and always give us really entertaining matches. Spawning in the lower left-hand corner of Solaris, it is Dragon Kitesy's Hero. Currently blocking the hatch of his Zerg opponent in the upper right, it is Dark. Obviously, these guys are teammates, but among the pro Koreans, I think these days, being teammates doesn't matter quite as much. Everybody tends to play against everybody. They're all very close. They play against each other and practice with each other all the time, so there's always a lot of like interesting metas within the matchups happening. But these guys, I feel like of the players that regularly play in weekly tournaments and smaller events like the KSL or the EBT weeklies, these guys are the best two players that regularly do that. There's obviously a lot of other very good players. We've had some of them in the bracket today and in previous KSLs. But Hero and Dark, they play pretty much every single week in all these cups. They're very, very good. And they hit each other in the finals an awful lot. I don't know if I've seen a match between them since the patch, though. So now we get to see some new maps, maybe some new strategies. I don't think a lot of like the early and mid game of this matchup have changed a ton. Trying to think what could matter a lot. Actually, I don't know if this is going to make too much of a difference, but something like the Immortal change makes the Immortal a little bit stronger. It is a slight buff. Could be very useful in like an Immortal Sentry push. You know, maybe the Immortal Sentry push can make a bit of a comeback in this matchup now. I don't think it's likely, but I mean, you never know. Considering we barely ever saw them before this patch, maybe we'll see like 1 out of every 100 now. Be an improvement. Just trying to think about like what other early mid-game strategies could change a little bit, but there's not a ton. What's really the patch is really going to affect is going to be later game stuff, especially for Dark, who does already like infestors. Doesn't have to worry about pathogen glands anymore. Those infestors will pop with a fungal in the chamber. So that could be very, very useful for a player like Dark, who's just so good with infestors already. Lurkers had a very minor nerf. Vipers had a very minor buff. A lot of the changes are pretty small. Hero, definitely listening to the broadcast before this, was thinking about what strategies to pull out here. And he said, okay, we have a new set of maps. We have a new patch. Let me go ahead and design a build that hasn't changed at all, and it won't matter what map we're on. He's pulling an old build out, guys. He did it again, man. The big book of Protoss bullshit. I don't even think he's got a big book anymore. He's got it like on his Kindle, you know? It's on his iPad. He just keeps it in front of him. He just hits random page on the big book of Protoss bullshit. And in this case, it gave him DT drop into Archon drop, which, man, that's an old one. This is early Legacy of the Void kind of stuff we're looking at here for Hero. It's a classic build, and I love that he's going for it. Now, Dark almost spots this. He can see the shimmers, but of course, why would you be looking out here randomly on the map? Dark, unlikely to actually spot that. And Dark's got roaches coming out, but uh-oh, the lair isn't done yet. Spore Crawler is moving down into position, but this is a dead natural. Ooh, unless he tries not to get it, in which case the War Prism's gonna have to escape out of there. Dark will hold on to the natural. I feel like he could have gotten this natural, though. Hero does get a couple of queens. He delays this roach push for sure, as Dark is like, okay, hold on, I need to defend. Trying to get some more vision up. He does have spore crawlers in each base. Lings are still looking for something, but what they're going to find here are some zealots and an adept. As it looks like the follow-up for Hero is going to be DT Blink. That's right. No charge. I said Archon drop. Hero's like, actually, we're changing it up. We're doing a bit of a change up here. It's DT Blink time. Hero is busting out. I said earlier, this is a classic build. Hero, he's thinking the same thing. A classic build. I'm going to blink DTs. Of course, we all remember classic blinking DTs into Rogue's base in BlizzCon 2019. It was my favorite part of that entire tournament. I screamed until my lungs were empty and in pain. My throat was in pain. And Hero's thinking about it. He's remembering that beautiful, beautiful time, and he's warping in more DTs in the main. So far, the DTs have not been able to find that damage they've been looking for. I'm going to try to split them up a little bit here. Oh, he's trying to figure out how to utilize them. But right now, he's just trying to blink away from the roaches.
I am but a phantom.
And that DT is but a phantom. You think he's a phantom's butt? It's like the alternate title for the Star Wars Episode 1. The Phantom Butt. That's actually... that's the porn title. The Phantom Butt. Anyways, Dark said best way to defeat a DT player is to just attack. And Hero, I think he might have forgotten Charge. So Charge is not here yet. Not that he has any Zealots here. It looks like he picked the Zealots up and sent them away. Overcharge on the shield battery, but these Archons are getting blapped and smacked. The Immortal goes down. Probes have been pulled. This is looking a bit dicey right now for Hero as the Roaches dive forward on another Immortal. Fancy hot pickup here, though. A 1 Immortal and 1 Warp Prism. That might be enough. Now, 14 probes have died, but Dark is on 48 drones. So that's actually totally fine for Hero, who's continuing to push these Roaches away for now, but the shield battery gets taken down. Did the Immortal go down? Oh, no. Wait, no, it's still alive. It's still alive. He's fancy pickup microing with it. Stalkers are falling. This Archon might fall here in a second. Can the Immortal hold? It has another shield. It pops it. Oh, another Immortal shows up. It's going to get lifted up. Oh, this one gets low, but it stays alive. 2 Immortals and a Warp Prism, guys. Infinity Roaches. Can he do it? Can Hero do it? Oh, my God. I feel like this base is going to die, though. The worker count is now even. Hero, he misses. Ooh, he doesn't quite miss. He takes some damage, but he does keep both of them alive. More Zealots warping in, but a few of them don't quite make it. A third Immortal pops out. The base is getting very low. Hero, though, so far defending it. 29 probes have now died, which means the worker count is even. A few drones going down. Oh, looks like he's just building stuff, taking gases, building a spire. Dark finally getting into some drone production behind this. He knows he killed a lot of units. He knows he killed a lot of workers. But look at that supply, man. Hero holding on with a 15 and a 9 kill Immortals. Those are almost entirely Roaches that were killed. I love the Spire play out of Dark. My one concern is that if Hero just builds a bunch, like a handful of Archons and a bunch of Zealots and moves across, Dark might be kind of dead. But he'd have to do that very soon. This Spire is already 3/4 of the way done. And it doesn't feel like Hero's doing that just yet. Overseer's going to keep an eye on what's going on in the base. Yeah, Hero's going to push out with a bunch of Immortals. He's going to have 5 Immortals, a bunch of Sentries, but he has nothing that deals with 10 Mutas. And I do not think Hero is going to be ready for these 10 Mutas to pop. He could warp in Stalkers. He could warp in DTs to try to get some Archons out. But those are expensive, and I think he'd rather have these Zealots. But those 10 Mutas are about to pop, and this is going to be a big problem for Hero, who is going to dive forward. Some beautiful force fields. The Guardian Shield helping out a little bit, but that Prism is going to go down. And I think these Mutas are just going to clean all of this up. Dark just needs to survive until the Mutas have killed all this stuff. And it looks like he's going to be able to do that. The Immortals doing so much damage to these roaches, absolutely demolishing this ground army. But it doesn't matter, there's just too many mutas, and GG gets called. As Dark with the muta follow-up there. Beautifully executed. Had just enough army left where Hero couldn't move immediately across the map, and that delay gave him time to get the mutas out. Fun stuff there, though. Hero, I think, investing into the DT Blink, as fun as it was, it really didn't get anything done. He, like, saved 2 DTs with it, and that is about it. Would have liked to have seen more, of course, but fun strat there from Hero. The 2 Immortals in the Warp Prism, too. Man. Every time it surprises me. We don't see it as much anymore. I don't know if you guys remember the days when that was like every PvZ. It was like an Immortal Sentry all in. And then if the Zerg was holding, then the Micro had to come in. And the Roaches would try to push back. And the 2 Immortals in the Prism, in the hands of a player like Hero or, you know, some of the other top tier Protosses, Trap, Zest, they would take 2 Immortals, 1 Prism, kill like 30 Roaches. Just crush them. And those Roaches try to move across the map. Not happening. Ain't gonna do it. We got to see a little bit of that. That felt very like 2017 Legacy of the Void, that game. 2018. Kind of fun. We're here on Oceanborn in game 2. And in the upper left-hand corner, it is Dark. And of course, his opponent in the lower right, Hero. Oceanborn. Friendly reminder to everybody out there. This tournament, the KSL, is funded completely by the Patreon. We've been running this dutifully now for 30 weeks, but we need more support. We are going to have to take next week off, and that is really just because we don't quite have the support to keep this tournament going weekly right now. So every few weeks, we've decided to just kind of skip a week, have some bye weeks. We could also lower the prize pool, but I am a little worried that if we lower the prize pool, we won't necessarily get players like Hero and Dark in here on the weeklies. And I've been really loving the level of player, the caliber of player we've had. We had a small bracket today, but the top 8 was like really sick. The semifinals were amazing matches, and obviously Hero versus Dark is always stellar. But I would love to get some more support in the Patreon. Hopefully we can start building that back up a little bit and get to the point where we can make sure to keep the weeklies going. And maybe, hopefully, even build up for another big tournament like we did this past summer. It was a lot of fun doing that SummerSlam. But I would appreciate any support that y'all can assist with. And I know the players appreciate it too. It's cool to see these guys here. Again, we have GSL coming up soon. Next week on, for me, it's Tuesday and Thursday. I think actually for everybody, it's Tuesday and Thursday. We've got GSL matches. But these guys are actually playing the week after, so these guys aren't playing next week. It'll be really cool to see. I'm glad these guys have had some practice on the new maps. We have a few weeks before GSL for them all to test some new strategies out and get a feel for the maps, get a feel for even some of the slight differences on a new patch can really mess you up until you get your muscle memory in. So I'm glad this patch went through when it did. Hero not going for anything quite as exciting this game as Blink DTs. Instead, just keeping it steady with the Oracle. Again, I feel like Oceanborn is a pretty solid macro map. We have that one path through the middle I was kind of talking about in the last series, where straight from the natural all the way to the third, you just kind of have a straightforward path. Same is true for Dark, and it makes me wonder if we could see like a Roach push at a third base that has a Ling follow-up. Those are decently common, and I feel like could be quite strong on this map. Maybe a little tough for the Protoss to hold off against. The Ling reinforcements will just get here so quickly. So far, though, nothing too crazy out of Dark. Taking that lair before he builds. Really, anything else? There's no Evo Chambers here. There's no Roach Warren. So he has a lot of options at his disposal right now. See if Hero can get a scout on the lair. Maybe grab a couple of drones. 1-2. A 1-2 punch. I'd love to see a nice macro game on these maps. I feel like a lot of these games, not just today, but in general over the last like week and a half, have been pretty aggressive. I haven't seen nearly as many like macro games as I'd like to, which just means there's a lot of map still left to explore. Like I haven't seen any fights here, really. There was one big macro game on this map, or there's been a couple macro games on this map in particular, but some of the maps just haven't seen any macro games so far. I'll be interested to see if we get some moving forward. You're getting some good damage done with these oracles. 3 kills on each of them. Oh, straight to Hydra Den for Dark. Ah, now this is interesting. Hydras did get a bit of a change. God, I wish I could remember all the specific changes, but I feel like Hydra's got a bit of a buff. Did they not? Am I mistaken? I feel like they got a slight buff, and Dark is doing what I would call a Mio Micah build here. If you're familiar with Mio, Mio's the kind of guy that, like, he might do a build where he throws down 2 Hydra Dens to get both upgrades at the same time. That's not out of the realm of possibility. He likes him some Hydras. And Hero's got to hold off against this. He doesn't know what's coming, though. Hero has not scouted this Hydra Den. This is an interesting push. I mentioned Roaches with a Ling follow-up hitting in this position, but Dark going with the Hydras, I love it. He's just walking across the map. Hero doesn't have any splash damage. The Hydra upgrade just finished for their range, but they are still quite slow. They don't have their muscular augments. However, Dark is going to try to push forward anyways. Getting a handful of Lings trapped in the stasis wards. He's going to pull back and wait for Ling reinforcements. 6 more Overlords on the way. Dark, he is not cooling down. He starts up the muscular augment. Super shield battery turns on. Dark disengages. But he is going to keep that pressure on. 28 more Lings in the production tab. Dark is just going to keep on going. Now, Hydras are pretty good against Stalkers, but Blink Stalkers in the hands of Hero can make any unit look pretty bad, especially with a shield battery to fall back to. I'm surprised Hero is being so chill on this right now. I don't think he realizes that a ton more Lings just popped, but there's 8 more Hydras on the way as well. Dark is pulling back, but I feel like this is a trap he's setting for Hero, where he's like, yeah, you go ahead and push with those Blink Stalkers. Hero does have +1 that can help him out a little bit at least. Oh, but I don't know if I like this for Hero. Oh, this is feeling dicey. There's a lot of Zerg out right now for Dark. He's a little supply blocked. Hero's going to pull back. That was a dangerous position up there. He's going to blink on top of the Lings and Hydras over here, forcing Dark to pull the trigger. More stasis traps to fall back on. Ooh, a big stasis trap there for Hero. And he's going to be able to keep blinking back the Hydras. Those stutters stepping forward, gunning down these Stalkers, sending them straight into our camera lens. And Hero losing a lot of stuff there. Dark punishing him for coming too far on creep. I think Hero was expecting Dark to drone heavily. Dark's at 51 drones. He is very not economic focused right now. He is just building as many Hydras as he can. Oh my god, another big stasis trap. Just buying so much time for Hero. I mean, that's like a whole warping round right there almost. Dark, though, man, he is not chilling at all. He is going to dive forward. Hero is doing his best. Blink Micro is going to turn on Super Shield Battery so he can pick off a couple more Hydras for free and force Dark to wait a little bit longer. There is a second Robo and a Robo Bay on the way for Hero. He's trying to get into Colossi or Disruptors or anything that can do some AoE against these ultra light units. But he's got to wait for it to come out. Dark, though, maybe waiting a little too long. He's starting to push in. Another Stasis Trap going down. They have saved him so far, keeping Dark off of his back. Oh, that Disruptor is not coming out. Stalkers on their own here, but a lot of the Hydras not really fighting. They're over on the left flank, not doing anything. The Stalkers doing a great job in the meantime. Another Stasis Trap catching at least a few units. The Shield Battery here is out of juice. Oh, one Disruptor has shown up. Dark, how are your splits, bud? How are they, Jean-Claude? Or are we not going to see that at all? Blinks forward here from Hero. He's trying to just pick off these units. He wants to get the Disruptor out here. He's going to send one Nova forward, gets at least a couple of units. The Stalker count, though, is dwindling over on the right side, but on the left side, Hero turns on a Super Shield Battery. He blinks forward. He somehow holds there, sacrificing the probes. But remember, Dark's economy is garbage. Losing 23 probes here is totally fine for Hero. He can absolutely come back from that situation, and he is holding. Dark putting absolutely everything he had into that. And while he did clear out the third base, Dark's economy is so bad back at home. He's going to go into double Evo Chamber now and hope that he can hold the follow-up. But I love that Hero's pressuring a little bit with the Blink Stalkers, forcing some more units out of Dark. Dark does not want to build units right now. He just wants to drone and get up to a good economy. And Hero is threatening. He's like, hey, no, you just killed a bunch of stuff. I'm not just going to let you get away with that. Behind it, he's building... He's going to have one Colossus, one Disruptor, and one Immortal. Truly beautiful combination of Robo units. Just one of each. He did lose the Bay and the second Robo, so the Immortal is kind of the best he can do out of the Robo at the moment. But he did get one Colossus and one Disruptor out before that Bay expired. I think I really like this game for Hero now. Dark's fourth base feels very late. The economy is still neck and neck, which is not usually good for the Zerg. Hero's going to go ahead and take his own fourth base, seeing that Dark is chilling for now. Dark is starting to build some more units, though. He's only at 54 drones. But he is going, man. Is he just going to attack again? He's got, I don't want to call it 1-1. It's +1 missile attacks and +1 melee on the way. Why just get Carapace for this kind of attack when you can get double attack? Think about it. But Dark's building drones now. I cannot understand the mind of this man. He's going to build a few more drones and get into a lurker den. I thought for sure Dark was just going to pull the trigger. But it's actually Hero that's going to push in here. He has Thermalights on the way, but it's not done yet, but he's still feeling comfortable to push in. That makes me a little worried, actually, for Hero. He's making himself very vulnerable. Pops the Guardian Shield. Oh, he wants to go in. Oh, my God, a Colossus gets caught rallying to the units. Disruptor Nova going to go out and push the Hydras back. And he's getting some good damage on the backside as Hero retreats. It looks like Hero will be able to get out of there. I guess, again, just forcing more units. Wants to keep Dark's economy in the absolute trash. And that's where it is right now. I mean, again, the economies are pretty much dead even. But as this game scales, I feel like Hero's army should just be getting better. That being said, 5 lurkers are on the way, and that can make a big difference here for Dark. That being said, I was going to say again, even though I literally just said it, words are hard. Dark's not going to have any upgrades for these guys. So these are just going to be regular old lurkers. I don't even think he has the hive, right? That is a lair, my friends. No hive here for Dark, which is, I feel like, not how he likes to play usually, which means no Vipers, which are instrumental in this composition. But more importantly, it means no upgrades for these lurkers. These are 8 range lurkers. The Colossi actually outrange them. Even though the Speedy Burrow got a little bit nerfed, it's still really, really good and very important. And going to make it a lot harder for Dark to take a fight without it. Dark, though, doesn't seem to care. He's going to attack anyways, and this is kind of the beauty of Dark, is when I feel like his army's bad and he shouldn't want to take a fight, that's like right when he moves out. And he's going to find some Zealots here. The Colossi are here, though, to fight against this. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Stalker's trying to take a good fight here, picking off one of those Lurkers before blinking back with the rest of the army. Hero's army is looking very, very strong. And I don't know if Dark's going to be able to take this on. He is splitting the army up, though, making it more complicated for the Protoss to deal with it. But so far, Hero doing a great job. Very powerful army over here with a few of the Colossi. The other side, mostly gateway units. He does have a Disruptor here. He's got High Templars. Storm is done. Dark's going, though. He's committed. He's on 60 drones. He's going for it. The Lurkers can't get out of the way of the Disruptor Nova. And the rest of Hero's units are coming over here. Some Zealots trying to go for a counterattack. But Hero, he just needs to hold on. And this is what I'm talking about, guys. Lurker range. It is very crucial. Ooh, Colossi left a little bit on their own. Hero, he's going to lose the Colossus. You know what? It turns out they're pretty good against Hydras. On the other side, start trying to push in with a Ling Lurker. Does get a few probe kills. But it looks like Hero's just going to go ahead and clean this up. Colossi still holding pretty strong over on this side. And Hero's going to hold. He is up a lot of supply. These two Lurkers are getting some big damage done on the worker line. The Lurkers on the workers. But Dark's army, it's gone. Oh my god. Oh, Hero, please. No, not that. Oh my god, Hero just lost so much supply to these two Lurkers. Jesus. Oh, and this is a huge problem, too, because now while he's busy trying to figure out those guys, the Lings get in, some Hydras get in, the main base is getting hit, the third base is getting held, but 8 more probes going down. Hero, he still has a huge army supply lead, but it looks like Dark is doing some big damage here. He kills the Fleet Beacon, but the Fleet Beacon was just for the mothership, so that's actually totally okay for Hero right now. I love that we're seeing a mothership. I have not seen one yet since it got changed. Really interested to see that. Damn it, Dark. I wanted to see the mothership. Dark taps out. I mean, he lost his whole army. For sure, that game was pretty much in the bag for Hero. Dark tried to delay a little bit with those Ling run-bys. It looked a little dicey for Hero. But I didn't realize he was so far down in workers that his army supply, he was just like 40, 50 supply ahead in army. And his army was better without the Lurkers, without their upgrades. Dark's army was just very, very bad. And now we get to go to game 3 all tied up. That's good. I hope we get a 5-game series, more so than even usual, because I mean, we're on new maps. There's a new patch. It's exciting new stuff happening. So hopefully we get a Dark victory and a Hero victory soon. And then we get into a game 5 only. Hard Lead is going to be our map number 5. Trying to remember which map this is. You know what? We'll just look at it when we get into it. I'm starting to get some of the maps in my mind and some of what I expect to happen on the maps in my mind. It's cool that I'm seeing the players recognize the power of those kinds of pushes on Oceanborn as well. But so far, Gumiho did a push, and now Dark did a push on Oceanborn straight through, like I was talking about, at that third base. Neither of them worked, so maybe it's a bit of a... It's a trick. It's a trap to get you to attack. Let's get into Hard Lead here, spawning in the lower right-hand corner. It is Dark. And his opponent in the upper left, Hero. This map feels fairly standard. Kind of an interesting middle section with some rocks blocking off likely paths. Okay, yeah, now I'm remembering this map a little bit. This third base here can be very susceptible to run-bys. It can be really easy to keep your army out here and to push this way and maybe even break down rocks or hit around the side and kind of neglect this run-by potential. Same for the fourth. The sides of the map, I feel like top and bottom paths here feel pretty separated from each other because you have to like almost go backwards to get through the middle. So I feel like if you're on the focused on the top side or focused on the bottom side, you're unlikely to see whatever the other side is as much. Something to keep in mind. Oh, I mean, Dark is just going for this base right away. That's very intriguing to me. I would have expected the Zerg to take this base as their third. But Dark gets his natural blocked and goes immediately for the more forward base. What I would call the more aggressive base. And with Dark at the helm, I wonder if we're going to see some roaches heading across the map. Dark is certainly not averse to that. I don't think there's any gold bases or rich geysers on this map. This is a pretty straightforward map. It's not a huge map. There's not a ton of bases. I think it's 7 per side. This feels like one of the smaller maps we have in the pool, maybe? It's kind of funny how, even though I feel like this map pool is a bit, I mean, it's definitely less standard than our last map pool. We don't have any small maps, do we? There's no maps on here that are like, oh, this map is tiny. This is a baby map. I kind of miss those. There was a good one back a while ago. Is it a Biogenesis? That I really liked. It was a small map, but it gave us a lot of like late game units. I feel like there was a lot of late game matches happening on a Biogenesis. I don't know. The meta might have changed too much for that, but I'm glad this map pool is a bit more diversified than the last one. We're not seeing a ton of the fun maps today. Most of the players are going to play on the more standard maps. Hopefully we get a Game 5. And maybe Game 5 of this will be on something a little bit more interesting. I love that Dark is working on breaking these rocks down already. It takes 4 lings about 100 years to kill rocks, but he's working on them. He's working on them, and it makes me really feel like Dark wants to get aggressive on this map. Right now, he's just running up. Oop, but there's that Roach Warren. I see it in that production tab. And yeah, that's what I expect from Dark. Hero is going to get a bit of a scout on those rocks, but I don't know if he was fully paying attention to the fact that the rocks are getting hit. It's an important thing for him to scout, for sure.
Oracle perceiving.
Can he spot it? All right. Sees it. Sees it for sure now. It's important. Because, you know, I see this and I immediately think, ooh, I feel like Dark's going to attack with roaches. And I always assume that if I think something is going to happen based on what I'm seeing, that Hero can figure it out, you know? And he's going to go into the main. He's going to see the Roach Warren. He's going to see no lair. Kills a few more drones, but now I think it's time to go home and start dropping some stasis wards. Because those have been crucial in defending against pushes. Not just against, not just in Hero versus Dark, but just in general in this matchup. I feel like I've seen so many more stasis wards come into play. And the Zergs have really been struggling to handle them. Maxbax was making them look very strong. So was Hero in some of the recent matches. What the hell is happening over here? I'm over talking, looking at Dark's base, seeing roaches on the way. Hero is going for double Stargate Tempests on this map. What in the hell? But Dark is here, man. He is at the wall. The first Tempest is out. Tectonic Destabilizers is on the way. but he doesn't need to worry about hitting buildings right now. Hero needs to worry about hitting these units. Now the queens can't transfuse, and that is a huge deal. Super shield battery is going to turn on. It's going to try to keep the pylon alive. The bile's not coming down quickly enough to kill it. Finally, they do. That does give time for another Tempest to come out, but there's not a lot to actually deal with the Lings and Roaches and Ravagers. And I don't know, guys. This is looking a little dicey for Hero. He is going to deal with the Lings. The Roaches and Ravagers need to get some damage done in the meantime. They're going to drop the Biles, but they miss the Tempest. And oh no, the Oracles and the Tempests are gunning these units down. The Lings are showing up. The reinforcements. There's no ground units available right now for Hero. It is just going to be Oracles and Tempests. 2 more Tempests are about to pop. Can they get out in time? One Zealot on the high ground, the Natural getting absolutely clobbered. 16 probes going down. But Hero can have a very strong set of units behind this. If he can get the wall up, he's killed just about everything that Dark had sent across the map. Now Dark is going to try to counterattack with these Lings if the Tempests move out. That is for sure his plan. And yep, there they go. Hero does have a few Zealots here. He's got the Oracles as well, but they don't have any energy on them just yet. Oh no, the Tempests were away and the Lings came to play. Tempest now fighting reinforcement Lings as more and more of them flood across the map. Probes going down once again. Tectonic Destabilizers is done though. Hero is starting to put some pressure onto this hatchery. There is not a lot here. That is a dead hatchery. Oh my god. There are still Lings in the base, but right now the probes are holding them off. Oh my god, Hero, no! 85 hit points, please kill this hatchery and go home. Oh, this is getting so dicey. The Stargates have been depowered. He's trying to replace the pylons to get more Tempests out. Hero has killed the 3rd base. He's gonna move on in. The Natural is turning into a lair, but Dark is forced to tap out as the Lings are getting cleaned up on the other side of the map. And Hero pushes through with the Tempest. What a game. Oh my god. Hero busting out the Tempest strats. Is there like a base on that map that you can hit with Tempests and they can't be hit by Queens? I'm sure there are. Tempests have a long range. That is just wild. 100% Hero was not expecting Dark to Queen walk with Roaches on Hatch Tech straight across the map. But it worked out for him. Well, Hero's going to go up 2-1. A wild game 3 there. We're going to cite Delta for game 4. I do really hope Dark wins this so that we get a game 5. We're getting into the maps that are seen maybe a little bit less. There's one map that I haven't seen played at all in any of these games, any of these matches, which is a bit unfortunate. It's the one thing that I don't know if I love about 9 maps is we never have best of 9s. It's like super rare. Occasionally tournaments will have it for a big finals, but it is very rare to see, which means if all the players kind of just agree not to play on a map, we just won't see the map ever. Like, at least with 7 maps, every like good player had to prepare because they're going to be playing best of 7s. You know, you're going to get to a finals, even if it's you know, a smaller tournament, maybe not like a GSL, but you might be getting to best of 7s pretty frequently. You got to know the maps. Now it's like, well, probably just won't ever see the map. Which, well, I'll get into that in a minute here. We're on game 5, spawning in the lower right-hand corner of Site Delta. We have Dragon Kites's Dark. And his opponent in the upper left, it is Hero. So one interesting thing is that ESL changed how the vetoes work in best of 5s. And I think part of that was to try to make sure we see maybe some of those less seen maps. And I really like the veto change. I think it's a really good change. I have seen some people maybe not liking it quite as much, but the way it used to work is essentially you veto 2 maps and your opponent veto 2 maps, and then you just pick the order of the next 3, right? No problem. You could get rid of 2 maps you don't like. Guaranteed your opponent can't pick those 2 maps. Now, in a best of 5, you pick 1 map to veto, your opponent picks 1 map to veto, and then you each pick a map, which means you only get 1 guaranteed veto before your opponent picks a map. So we could see some of those less seen maps, maybe some of those slightly less balanced maps even, where one race has a, you know, a pretty big advantage. Although pretty big is like 5% in pro play. The maps are all, generally speaking, fairly balanced. We could see those maps come into those matchups a little bit more often. In fact, we should see that happen a little bit more often, which is going to force players, I think, to focus on how to play on those maps. And again, specifically Dark, but I'm sure there are a lot of pro players that do this. Some players are really good on maps that are generally bad for their race. You know, whether they have a couple of build orders or a style of play that's a little bit different, or they just know the map well enough and know how they like to play on it that they don't need to worry about like the general, you know, overall statistics of it. They're like, no, I feel comfortable on that map. And I think we might have to see some more of that out of most players, since you're a lot more likely to, you know, come up against those maps in a best of 5 even. Not even just a best of 7, but in a best of 5. It's kind of cool. I think it's a good change. I actually put it in the rules for today, but I did not say anything to the players about it, so they probably vetoed like a normal best of 5. But moving forward, I'll try to remind the players. And if EPT does it every week, I think players will just get more used to it. Now, Dark sending some lings across the map. I think he's looking for a 3rd base. Hero's not going for a 3rd base just yet, though. So, slings are not going to find anything. We are 4 minutes into this game. Hero feels like a late 3rd. Oh, what's that? That's a Robo and a Forge. Okay, Hero. All right, bud. What are we doing over here, bud? That's a beautiful thing. We have seen Hero do... God, I wish I could remember exactly what it was. He did do like an Immortal Sentry thing in a game like a few weeks ago, and I thought it was cool that he pulled that out. He does have the builds, my man Hero. Cancels the Forge? Oh, no, the Forge just finished it already. Okay, so I guess it's going to be +1. I'm assuming just good old Immortal Sentry +1, maybe a bunch of Zealots. He's going to take the 3rd base, but I feel like it's almost a trick. I feel like this is a bait 3rd base. The 3rd bait. Well, we'll see. Heroes, he's big brained. He's big brained. Dark's trying to get into a lair, and he is dropping a Roach Warren. He has not scouted the 3rd base just yet. So if this is a bait 3rd base, that's actually a bit of a problem for Hero. You want your opponent to scout your 3rd base if it's fake. Or if it's, you know, like, you're not going to saturate it. I feel like it isn't real. You know what? Hold on. I was just going to say Hero stop building probes. But as I said that, he's going to start building them again. But there's a Prism on the way. I don't understand this guy. His brain is too big for me. I keep thinking he's going to all in, and then instead he doesn't. Dark, though, is building 5 Overlords. So I actually think Dark's going to be the one trying to all in right now. That is usually a precursor to building a bunch of Roaches. And he is starting up those Roaches. He has +1 of Roach speed on the way. We might see a big swing for Dark when that comes out. Hero going for a bit more finesse here, as he does have the Prism out, but he's heading towards a Robo Bay, so I'm guessing he's going to try to do, like, Disruptor drops or something. This is getting weird. Hero's got a bunch of Gateway units, but his Twilight Council isn't finished. His Robo Bay is done now. Okay, it's a Colossus. I actually don't know what's going on anymore. I'm going to stop pretending I understand what either of these players are doing. Dark, he built 5 overlords so he could build a bunch of roaches. He has +1 in roach speed. I thought he was just going to bully him with roaches. Nope, Hydrodan Infestation Pit going down. I'm wondering if I'm confused because these players are too smart, or if the players are changing up their strategies based on what they're scouting and what they're seeing. Because I feel like Dark was getting prepared to be attacked, and then realized an attack wasn't coming and decided to tech up, whereas Hero was preparing to attack and then decided against it. But I don't know. Maybe I'm reading this wrong. You know, maybe I'm looking for the symbolism of what's happening in these games, and you know, I'm like the English teacher who's like, well, in The Great Gatsby, they mentioned the color green 143 times, and that implies that the green of it usually means envy. And it's like, bro, it's just a color. It showed up a bunch. I actually had to do that in high school. We had to count. This is a real thing that I did in my English class in high school. I thought it was so dumb. We had to count how many times they mentioned certain colors in The Great Gatsby. Man, I have never hated reading more than I hated it during that class. Ugh. English teachers always looking for some dumbass thing the writer did not give a crap about to talk about for 100 years. Anyways, we've gotten to late game. We've made it here. It looked like both players at different points in this game were ready to attack. Thought for sure Hero was going to all in when he dropped a Robo and a Forge on 2 bases. But no, he's getting into a big buff army. He's got 4 bases. His 4th is about to finish up. He's going to have a very strong ground army. But we might see why ground armies aren't great in this matchup for Protoss. Because Dark is going to have, I mean, like Roach, Hydra, Lurker. And he's got these Vipers out, which basically make the Colossi useless once they're out. Dark's going to push right now, though. He's going to drop some Vials out here. I guess he's probably just freeing up some supply. He doesn't kill anything, though. That actually felt really, really wasteful for Dark. Take a look. Yeah, he killed 1 Zealot. Not a great push for Dark. This game, he's getting the Lurker upgrades. He's got the Hive, so those are good. He recognizes, absolutely needs those. It's funny to watch the Lurkers fight without those upgrades. It's like, oh, it's the Lurker. Well... Well, maybe it's not quite a Lurker. He's not quite there yet. He doesn't quite have all the frills of a Lurker. These guys, though, they will have the frills. They're going to have their range very soon. Then after that will be the Speedy Burrow upgrade. And Dark is starting to push forward. He's going to get these Lurkers nice and burrowed here and start working on this wall. It's a nice little storm. Also, Vipers have to watch out for the feedbacks from these High Templar that are in this army. Hero's got to be a little careful, though. He doesn't want to be walking into choke points with Lurkers attacking him. He's going to lose this wall. I feel like he's got some more army around, though. The army of Hero, doesn't feel like it's all here. The Viper gets 1 yoink. Oh, I think these High Templar could land a feedback if they wanted to. Both these Vipers looking juicy. There they go. 1 more yoink happens, but those Vipers are done for the rest of this fight. Hero losing a lot of the stuff out front, but that's kind of what that stuff is there for. Hero minds it too much. Looks like this Prism wanted to do something, but the Queens pushed it away. Hero brings over a few more full energy High Templar. Ooh, this Colossus getting a little low. Dark's going to dive on it, eats a couple of storms for it, but does get the Colossus. Hero needs to be careful. But he's getting into Tempest. 2 Tempest popping out right now. There's not a lot of anti-Tempest stuff here. I think Dark is just going to try to get whatever damage he can done before the measly Tempest can actually kill this. He does have some Zealots counterattacking as well. The Spine Crawler not going to hold on, but might buy some time. And it looks like Hero's going to lose his base. That is a dead 4th base, and there's no replacement 4th right now for Hero. Does not have anything building. So his economy is just going to be kind of bad. That is a lot of lurkers. My goodness, 13 lurkers out. It's so interesting to see Tempest come back into play in this matchup. For a while, these were pretty popular. Be interesting to see if they come back into PvT as well. But I think Dark's in a pretty great spot. The economy of Hero right now has been severely injured. His main base is getting pretty low. His natural is getting pretty low. And this 4th base needs to happen. Needs to be back up. Prism goes down as there are some Corruptors out to try to deal with these Tempests. 11 Corruptors, 7 Tempests. Some good old 7-11. Dark looks like he wants to push back in. Hero's army is pretty strong. He's got a lot of army supply. Again, it feels like some of his army just isn't here. But he's going to miss this move in. Dark's going to be able to get his lurkers into a beautiful position. Great tag on the army, though. So all these lurkers are spotted. That means the Tempest can start trying to bust them down. Instead, focus firing the Vipers so they can't get yoinked in. Dark clears some of the static defense. He's going to back out. Doesn't want to stick around in that fight for now. Oh, man. We might be going like late game here. Hero's army is strong. It's big. Both players are maxed right now. Dark is trying to find a way in. If he can get a good advantage and keep Hero's economy down here, Hero's going to have a really tough time staying in this game. Especially as more Corruptors are coming out now. Oh, Corruptors want to dive forward. They get one yoink, but all the Vipers get fed back. So no more yoinks after that. The Lurker's going to dive even further forward. Hero backing up from those spines, sending the Immortals forward a little bit. But needs to be so careful. The Corruptors are really bullying here. They want to dive forward, but the High Templar and Archons are scaring them away a little bit. Oh, the Lurker split is beautiful. Storm goes down. This base is getting quite low. Probe count is dropping here for Hero. The Corruptors decide to go for it. Some Storms go down. They are hitting those Corruptors pretty hard. So the Corruptors will have to back up. Dark may be overcommitting here. He's actually kind of dropping in supply. Oh, the base is going to go down, though. Shield battery. There is an overcharge. Hero, he's not going to use it, though. He loses the Nexus. But almost every single lurker has gone down. Actually, I think these last two can't escape. There's just a few too many charge lots right now. One of them gets out of there. A bunch more Hydras on the way. There are 20 Corruptors in the sky. But as long as Hero sticks around these Archons, the High Templar, the Tempest should be kind of okay. Dark, though, he wants to dive in on top of this. The Archon's trying to get underneath those Corruptors. The Parasitic Bomb doing some beautiful damage here, forcing the Tempest to split. If these Tempests go down, I think the ground army might be able to win. But I don't know. The Archons and Immortals are starting to chew through the Hydras. The Corruptors will win this fight. Some Void Rays coming out to help out. But the Tempests are all gone. And that should mean the Lurkers can win the day out, at least for now. The problem is Dark doesn't actually have any Lurkers. He just has Hydras. Hero, though, he's going to back up. He's retaking this fourth again. He's long distance mining from this base, but he desperately needs to actually take that base. Those trades were kind of insane on both sides. It looks like Hero had a slightly better trade and overall has traded a bit better. But of course, Dark's been mining so much more, even taking a couple of fresh bases here. He's had 5 solid bases the whole time. Hero hasn't been allowed to keep a fourth alive, so the mining for Dark has been fantastic. And that's going to allow him to get back into more of these lurkers. He's getting all of his juicy upgrades, plus 3 flyer attacks. It looks so cool. I feel like you just don't see this upgrade very often. And that's going to make it really hard for Hero to fight against this. Hero did get a mothership out. Actually, haven't seen this new mothership move, so it'll be kind of cool to see it maneuver a little bit better, at least. The model's a little smaller too, right? There's a few nice changes to the mothership. I'm happy with those changes. I hope we get to see more motherships because of it. And now it doesn't permacloak though, so that's another important thing. Hero heavy on the Void Rays. The Void Rays do very, very well against the Corruptors. There's only 2 Corruptors left though. It's now Hydra anti-air for Dark, and he's finally getting into those Infestors. He's going to have Infestors and Vipers. We know how good he is with those units. Void Rays clump something terrible. Like, look at this army. Man, a fungal parasitic bomb on this army right now would do so much damage. Actually insane. Dark threatening to hit on the top side, but that's going to trigger Hero to move in on the bottom side. Unfortunately for Dark, he doesn't have any anti-air here. Hero doesn't quite know that though, so he is posturing. The Infestors are here. Again, they pop with enough energy for a fungal now. And the Lurkers will push the ground army away. Hero not able to find a footing to get in. He is finally taking a 5th base down to the lower left. I think Dark's army is a lot better right now. Hydra Viper Lurker is one of the best comps in the game. Add in Infestors and Dark's ability to control said units. It's going to be very hard for Hero to find a way in right now. There's a Parasitic Bomb. A couple of them going down. Do we have some Fungals here? There's a nice Fungal on a few of the Voids, allowing the Hydras to catch one. But yeah, there's a lot of damage going down on that air army right now. The ground army for Hero is quite strong, but I don't know if it's strong enough to take down 17 Lurkers. He is going to maneuver over to this side a little bit before Dark is ready. Drops a few storms to try to zone this army back. Dark might have to sacrifice this base. He's got a bunch of stuff up in the upper right side, though. So he's got a lot of mining. Oh, the Infestors dive forward. There's a yoink on the mothership. The mothership will go down. No longer minus 400, but still gets grabbed, gets killed. Hero can't move up that ramp. The Lurkers are too nearby. And Dark's going to hold on to his base for the time being. More units showing up for Hero, though. He's got some Zealots in the prison. Looks like he's going to head towards the main. Nothing here to defend this. These Zealots could get a lot of damage done. But Dark, he's like, no. Get back. Get back to where you once belong. Hero says, no, screw you. I'm going in. And he dives forward. Oh, my God. The Fungal Parasitic Bomb. Chain Fungal on the Void Rays. And Hero is looking to lose every single one of those. Now the Zealots are in the main base. More Zealots warping in. There's not a lot of quick moving units for Dark right now, so he's going to lose his hive. The Lurker Den is also up here. Hero could just A-move into that. I don't think he's watching right now. He's focused on the defense. Dark says, actually, screw you. I'm going across the map. Oh, the Zealots are doing so well over here, though. Hydra's trying to come up to defend, but the Zealots are winning the fight. Hero doing so much damage with like 8 supply on the other side of the map. It's insane. But he walks into a bunch of Lurkers. He's trying to get more Tempest out, trying to get another mothership out. But it looks like the Zealots have left the main. They're not going to be able to kill the rest of this tech, which means Dark can continue making Lurkers. And right now, Dark he's pushing forward. 22 Corruptors on the way. Whatever Hero makes in the air is just going to die. And I think that's a problem for him, because right now his army is just air units. But we're not even going to get to see those Corruptors as Hero taps out Dark. Ties up the series once again, brings us to a game number 5. Dark closing it out there, man. That was a very, very interesting game. Like, it's hard. It was really hard to read what was happening. But I think it kind of went as I expect, honestly. Hero, I think, stayed too long on a ground army like that. Those kinds of ground army for Protoss can be very, very powerful, very potent. But those big units are very important. Without the Colossi, without these kind of power units to hold on to the Death Ball, You know, they're what makes the death ball death. Otherwise, it's just a ball. And the Vipers just completely nullify that. So I feel like once Vipers are out, once it's like a Lurker Hydra Viper composition from Dark, the ground army just doesn't work anymore. The Tempest transition felt a little bit later than it needed to be. But it really, I think Hero was planning to attack and decided not to. And sometimes that can be very powerful. And that game worked out very well for Dark. Now we're going to Alcyon for game number 5 here. This map is pretty interesting, actually. I like this map a lot. We've been seeing a decent amount of it. Not a ton of macro games, though. I feel like it's just been mostly 2 bases or 3 bases, and the game just kind of ends. So hopefully we get a nice long macro game to end our series here. In StarCraft 2, everything stacks automatically unless you separate it after every attack command. It is true. There could be a lot of stacking in StarCraft 2. It can be very good. It can be very bad. It's kind of a... I don't know. I don't really have a problem with it. I think it's kind of cool. And it allows for better players with better micro, to take full advantage of army compositions that, like, say, for instance, me, who's bad at the video game, would struggle with. You know, my army might clump together, especially if it's something like Marines. I might end up with a big ball of Marines and the mainlings come in. I'm dead at that point. I'm going to lose. Maru, though, not a problem. I think it's kind of cool in that it allows for better players to have more micro possibilities, and it's a good separation of lower level and higher level. I think that's a very, very important part of a good RTS, is that there need to be things that allow for high skill ceilings. So the better you get, the more you can do with certain units. Something like a Blink Stalker, Stim Marine, you know, a Warp Prism. The Warp Prism micro from these top guys is bonkers insane. And the Warp Prism micro from me is terrible. It's like it's useless. I might as well not actually do anything. It's like it's better for me to not micro at all. So I feel like it's really good to have those kinds of things that separate the skills of different players. And it can be frustrating. It can mean that at certain levels, this is always going to happen in any game that has any sort of variability. It doesn't even have to be an RTS. This can happen in like shooters too, where at different levels, different things can feel overpowered. I see a lot of people like, how is Protoss not winning anything? Protoss is so easy. And it's like, sure, I mean, you're in Platinum, so yeah, I'm sure Protoss is very easy against your Terran when you're in Platinum. But you can't be balanced for everything all the time. At that level, there's just certain base elements of the matchup that might be easier for one race than the other. That's going to happen at every different level, in every different matchup. There's going to be things like that. As somebody who's grown in skill throughout the years and played StarCraft for almost 13 years at this point. Yeah, I mean, like, at different points, different matchups felt impossible, and then all of a sudden I'd get a little better and it felt impossible to lose. It's kind of a cool thing about StarCraft. I'll be honest with you. I like it a lot. Anyways, game number 5. We're on Alcyon here. Take a look at the map in a second. In the lower left-hand corner, it is Dark. And his opponent in the upper right is Hero. So, some cool things about this map. The main base, natural, 3rd and 4th setup. Not too crazy here. Dark's expanding northwards in the line. Where things start to get a little funky, the middle of the map has a very important watchtower, but it's very hard to walk through. We've already seen some armies get kind of tangled up in here. This is the kind of thing where at a high level, they'll probably avoid it 95% of the time. But again, platinum, diamond, whew, you're just going to A-move through the map. Your army's going to get all sorts of stuck up in here because like big units can't come through here. And then you'll have units kind of bumping around or bumping around on the low ground. And things can get really wonky with the pathfinding around this area. So players really have to focus in on that. Make sure they're not doing anything weird. Could also be very powerful position with a lot of choke points if you're trying to push forward on your opponent. I wouldn't be surprised to see this in like a TVZ or something, where the Marines pull back and the Lings just can't engage if the Marines are in here. But that's not even the most interesting thing about this map, honestly. We've got these mineral walls back here that lead to a gold base, which you could mine from the back or break these rocks and get to more easily. But you're kind of exposed to your opponent a little bit in that way too, because they could just break these rocks or mine through here and get around that side. It's kind of interesting. I haven't seen any of these bases taken yet, or these ones up north. This map is split down the center here diagonally and then mirrored. So that also adds a kind of a weird level where like where dark is expanding is on the mini map quite close to here, but you'd have to kill these rocks or you have to go all the way around the top side anyways. I don't know. Interesting map. I like this map a lot. I think this is going to be one of our most common kind of fun maps that we see. I've seen this map a lot already. I was going for a Stargate build on this map, just an Oracle. I like to see it. I do hope we get a bit of a longer game. I want to see this map get interacted with more. That's the real reason I want longer games. Obviously, seeing some like very unique cheeses or, you know, unique strategy-based builds that utilize the map is really cool. I don't expect to see too much of that. I think if the players have those kinds of builds, they will save them for GSL instead of busting them out here. But, you know, if we see a nice macro game, we'll get to see more units kind of scurrying through this area, and maybe the pathfinding will get messed up. Maybe we'll get to see some gold bases get taken. Hero is expanding southwards, which I think makes sense. Again, with the mirrored action on this map, this base is just a lot closer to Dark's, essentially his second base, right? So that could be a very dangerous position where Dark might want to try to push. This one's quite a bit safer. Dark is going to be heading towards roaches. It's got a roach horn and a lair on the way. With Dark, who knows, man? Maybe he's going for a big attack. I'm going to stop pretending I can know what to expect, know what these guys are doing. Hero's going for a Forge, Twilight Council, and a Robo, getting up all of the tech at once. And it's going to be Blinkin' +1. Ooh. Ooh. Mr. Yeti with the 5 gifted subs. Not diggity dog. This is what happens when Dave isn't on. Shout out to Dave for, you know, working very hard and also streaming like a ton. So he's tired, so Yeti's in my chat instead. Appreciate that, Dave. That lovely voice of Apoptosis in there. I'm excited. We have a new session of D&D on Tuesday, planned for Tuesday on Apop's channel. Been playing a lot of D&D on Zombie Grub's channel. We've had Baldur's Gate. Honestly, the amount of Dungeons and Dragons in my life in the last year has increased significantly. And I'm not mad about it. Everybody I talk to in real life, though, is like, man, you're such a nerd. And I'm like, guys, I talk about video games like 2 or more times a week. I spend hours talking about video games. Are we surprised? Is this news? Dungeons and Dragons is like the least nerdy thing I do. It's just like old school nerd. We've got old school nerd and new school nerd, which is esports. Now Hero's going for a nice big attack here. This is what that robo is for. It's for a prism. And he's on 3 bases, 54 probes, but his +1 is just about to finish, and he is here with the Blink Stalkers. One of the Oracles does go down. These Stasis Swords, again, going to be very important. A lot of Roaches and Queens here for Dark, though. I feel like these Stalkers are going to have a tough time busting through, but they are starting to whittle down the numbers a little bit. Oracle tanking some of that Queen damage, at least for a second there. More Stalkers warping in. This is 7 gateways out of Hero. My God. And Dark is just pumping Roaches. He's pulling up drones now to try to fight and tank a little bit here. Stalkers do have a tough time when the drones are on the front line, but it's not gonna be enough. And I was hoping for a macro game, and Hero said, macro this, and just absolutely smashed Dark's face with Blink Stalkers. And sometimes that's just how it goes. You know, we don't see a ton of builds like that, I feel like, against Zerg, especially against Dark. It's a bold move to just go for a big Blink attack, because it's counting on the Zerg to be macroing and not have enough units out. And with Dark, you never know when he's going to attack you. So a little bit of a roll of the dice there for Hero, but he rolled successfully. He passed his attack check. I don't know. I was trying to make a Dungeons and Dragons reference there, but I can't quite figure out what I'm trying to say. Anyways, Hero picks some good builds and wins some good games. Dark made it very close, but we finally got to see Hero versus Dark on the new maps. What a good KSL today. Thank you guys for hanging out for this week's KSL.